All right, y'all. So my above ground gardening beds, actually, I think they're called raised beds. I call them above ground gardening beds because they are above the ground, but people call them raised beds, are here. So we're gonna go ahead and set these up. This one is for my tomatoes and my snap peas because these come with the trellis. So I got two that has a trellis. Even though I am growing some peppers, I'm just gonna have to buy like a standalone trellis for the peppers because this one is one that I bought and it has like 4 different sections for my peppers and the other things that I'm growing. But these actually come with the trellis, so we're gonna set these ones up first. This is what it's looking like. Everything that I'm using you can purchase on Amazon. I did set up an Amazon cart. It's going to be titled planting materials, I believe. Anyways, it's going to be in my description box. You just click on that link and you can get everything that I bought from that link. Instead of just searching it from Amazon, you can just go to that link and everything I'm using is in that link. So this is the trellis ones. Alright y'all, so I had to come inside because it's a little windy and I have lots of pieces that I need to put together. Like, I was thinking it was like something more like a foldable type of deal, but it's not. Got some instructions here, and I didn't want these to blow away in the wind, but anyways, I got some instructions here. And actually, it not being a foldable thing is actually pretty good because that means it's going to be more durable for the weather and for the weight that's going to be inside of here. So let me put this together first, obviously, and then we're gonna go ahead and put it, set it up outside. And there's two that comes in here, not just one, but there's two. So we're gonna put this up, and then we'll set it up outside. Together. I am a whopping 5 foot nothing. This is the size comparison they are towards me. And now we can go ahead and set them up outside. Alright y'all, so we are going to be putting some Miracle-Gro organic outdoor potting mix into our raised beds. And on the back of here, it just has some of the things that it has in it. But we are also mixing in some pure warm castings with the organic outdoor potting mix. This is what we are mixing together to put into our raised beds. Now I am using this because of course our raised beds don't have worms in there. So this is just to replace the worms that will usually be in the ground. Since we're not, planting our plants in the ground, we're using raised beds. I'm mixing this in there. And then everything I am using you can find in my Amazon shop cart. Once again, that will be in the description box titled plants. That way you don't have to go searching for everything I'm using. So this is what we're going to be putting in our raised beds for now. Alright, so we did fill those up with that potting mix and those worm castings, but also what you're going to see is a pot in the middle of that. Now I put that pot in the middle for the sake of transplanting, and I'm just going to show you why I put that pot in the middle. But this is how I set it up with all of the potting mix and the warm castings inside of there, mixed together inside of the raised beds. All right, so now I'm going to tell you why I put the pot in here. So once you take the pot out, you will have a good starting base to put your transplanting plant in. So if you just take this out, and these are my tomatoes that I grown from seed. If you have not watched how I grew these tomatoes, go ahead and watch that video, growing vegetables, and I believe I titled vegetables and flowers from seed. But we're not gonna need this stake anymore since we now have the trellis. But you're just going to kind of wedge those out of there. Make sure you get all those roots. And I grew these inside of eggshells. So you're just going to make sure you covered all that back up there. And then these trellis came with these little clippy clips, and you're going to be able to go ahead and clip your tomato plants on with these clips without hurting the plant. And that is why I put those pots in there at first, because when you get those pots out, you'll just be able to put those right in the spot where that other pot was at. Now you would also notice that I do have some room on the outside edge. That is to put in my companion plants, and for my companion plants I have some mint. So I'm going to go ahead and put some mint around the outside of my tomatoes. That is going to deter some pests that like to grub on your tomato plants. You don't want that. So I'm going to put some mint around the tomato plant. And I'm going to put another one here inside the raised bed. And then of course you're just going to put some more of your potting mix and your warm castings inside. Once again, it is about to rain, so you don't have to worry about, whoa, just throw that everywhere. It's about to rain, so if it is about to rain, it's the best time to do this, because you don't have to worry about watering your plant right after you do this. If it's not raining, then of course you're gonna water it, but I decided to do this when it's about to rain so that I don't have to go back and water them. And also it is easier if you already have your warm castings mixed in here. You don't have to worry about, you know, when you have to go back and put some in there. It's already mixed in there. I'm just going to clip some more here. Now this also came with some wire, but I'm gonna see if I can clip some of these in, if they're long enough. They're not quite long enough. I think I'm gonna have to use the wire. So yeah, we'll mess with that. I think I'll need to get the wire out for this. Okay. All right, and there is the tomato plants. And then on the side we got cement. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and do it over here with the peas. I do have some peas inside that's ready to go, so we're gonna do it with the peas. And with the peas, I am going to plant marigolds around with the peas. And that's once again to deter pest. Also, I do want to make note that when I do put my bigger raised bed out here, it's going to be like right here in the front. All of this is going to be cleaned up. But those marigolds and those pea pods are in here. The mint and the tomatoes are in here. And now we are ready to do our bigger one. But once again, it's about the rain, so we're just going to leave those there so that they can get a good watering before we put our bigger one out here. Now we can go ahead and open this big box here. Now this actually has 4 parts to this raised bed, so I'm going to have to put this together as well. And once again, when you have to put these together and they don't just like fold out, it does make them more durable, and it does make them better as far as the weight that you're going to be putting inside of these. So we're gonna put this together, and this is just one big unit of 4 different parts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that inside as well. All right, y'all, so sadly, I'm not going to be able to put this together today because it looks like these are legs. I am missing some legs. It says I'm supposed to have 32. I only have 24. As you can see, I have 6 packs of 4. I only have 24, meaning I am missing 8. I'm missing 2 packages of legs. So I don't want to put this together and then contact, the seller and be like, I need some legs, and then they ask me to send everything back. So you don't want to be that fool neither, to put something together and then have to take it apart again just to get the rest of your legs. So once again, it says I need 32. I only have 24. Everything else is here. So let this be a lesson. We're all human. They did make a mistake and not send all the legs, but let this be a lesson for you to not be the fool to put something together before checking all your pieces. I check all my pieces first, as you're supposed to anyways, before you start putting it together, in case the seller asks to send it all back in the box. You don't want to put something together and then have to take it apart. So we'll be waiting for those pieces to come before we can put this one together. This is just what it looks like. There are 4 separate sections there. And just like my other videos, anytime there is a downfall, in this case, I didn't get all my legs to put this together, I'm gonna record that too, because this happens. And once again, let this be a lesson to you to make sure you check your parts and make sure you have everything before putting stuff together. So we won't be putting this together today until I get all my parts. All right, so basically, if this happens to you, all you have to do is contact Amazon. Amazon will then contact the seller, and then the seller will then contact you through your email. And then basically, I just sent them these pictures of what I did have and letting them know that I was missing just 8 legs. So I also sent this picture saying that I should have 32 and let them know that I did not have 32 and I just needed 8 more legs, basically, which would have been 2 more packages because each package came in a packet of 4. So I let them know that, and here are the messages that I let them know that. So anyways, it did take about 7 days before I've gotten my other pieces, basically from the time that I checked the box and seen that there were missing pieces and the time that I sent Amazon a message. It took 7 days before I got the legs. So here is the box that those legs have came in. And I'm thinking, surely they did not put 2 packages of legs in this big old box. And when I opened it, I realized that I was right. They did not put 2 packages of legs in there. They put all the packages of legs in here that I did not need. I only needed 2 of these. So yeah. Alright, so I just did basically one side and the sides of this unit. But I want to go ahead and explain something for those who want to buy this. First, I want to go ahead and say to read the reviews. I usually don't buy anything unless it has 4.5 stars. This unit had 4 stars, so I loved the way it looked, and I thought, let me just go ahead and buy it, right? It has 4 stars. Once again, I don't usually buy things unless it has 4.5 stars. If you buy this unit, please read the reviews. This has been one of the most difficult pieces I've had to put together. This is the instructions. As you can see, the instructions are just pictures. There are no words to these instructions. No words. This part, I'm not sure. I'm thinking it's because I don't understand how this goes. I don't understand this. Anyways, when I put it how I thought the picture looked, it wasn't stable. I need something that's gonna be stable and held together. So I used zip ties. That's right, I used what I had, which was zip ties, because this was not making any sense to me. So if you do buy this, make sure you first off have these off. These things need to be off, and then put your little tunnel in, and then I zip tied it because I didn't understand this. If you can understand that, then do it that way, but I thought I had it that way, and it still was like not stable. It wasn't working. And then also, these sides have like A, you can see that A and B. So I used that and put the A with the B, and then put the little tunnel through there, and then zip tied it that way. Once again, it doesn't have any A or B. It doesn't tell you what to do and how to have this positioned. But I'm thinking A and B means something, right? So that's how I did that, because there's no instructions on how to do it. Make sure that if you do your zip ties, make sure you put the actual tie like at the top, because you don't want it on the side here, because you still have to put this on, and you want this to fit. And then on this side too, obviously it's going to slide in right there. But that is one thing that I noticed about this. Now it does, I believe, when I went back on there, I tried to find like some little video of them putting it. You know, sometimes Amazon has videos of instructions. So I went on there to look at that, and then I seen that the stars did go down. And I seen that the most recent reviews was from this month of this year. So I said, okay. But I am putting it together. I finally figured it out, and finally figured out an easier way to do it and everything like that as well. So I am going to explain how I'm doing this. Once again, I do have a zip tie instead of using these things. I don't even know if these, I call them rubber bands, but they weren't rubber banding anything together. They weren't doing what I needed it to do. Like I said, I don't know if I was doing it right, because this is my instruction, so yeah, it wasn't holding. So if you need words and you'd like this unit, this does not come with words. to put it together. You're gonna have to use your, even with your brain cells, this thing was difficult. But I'm going to show you how I'm putting it together. All right, so once again, on these, there's labels that says A and B, but also on the legs. Now I had to take some legs apart because the legs also has some distinguishing features that, of course, it doesn't say on here. Don't say on these instructions, but if you can see, this is pointed. I don't even know if you want to say pointed out, but if you can see on the bottom how this is out, the other ones, the other three sides are in. You need to pay attention to that. If you can see this here, you're just going to need to slide one of the indented parts down, and we're putting the non-indented part on the outside. So, make sure you put this in this part. So once again, this is on the outside, leg down, indent part here, and there will be a dention part here as well. And you're just going to slide that down. Now you are going to see these little keyholes. Those are important for the walls. Now the walls are doubled up, so all the walls have this part as well, because once again, the walls are doubled up and then the legs are doubled up as well. But what you're going to do is you're going to put those, the bottom of the wall, you're going to put those in that little keyhole. Once you slide it over, it's going to lock in. So put that in, and once you slide it over, it locks in. Now, an easy way that I have found out to do that is before I even put this leg on, I usually wait until I have another wall on, and that way I'll be able to slide this in on this wall. At the same time, I'm sliding it onto the bottom wall as well. So it is easier if you wait until you get this side wall on before you put the leg on either side. So I did just take that back up just to show you how much easier it is to do it that way as well. Do it how you want. I just found that this way is easier before we even put the leg in, but that is how you would put the leg in regardless, but I recommend not doing it until you get all the walls, the side walls up, and then doing it that way. So the sides are way more difficult than the insides, because the insides, they each have their own little, section of legs. So it does feel like, that you're not putting these in right, because it feels like it's hard for it to go in, but just keep wedging that through and eventually it pops on. Especially these top ones, they're like really hard. You don't think you're putting it in right, but trust me, you are. So we're just going to go ahead and finish this, but that's just a little take on how I found to do these a little easier with the walls and the legs. It's just easier to put the wall on first and then slide the legs on down, making sure you pay attention to where the indents are. And this one. So once you got it, you got it. Once again, it feels like it's not going in, but it eventually goes in. And then the same for the top. You're just going to put your next wall on, making sure you slide that over, and like now I'm doing it with one hand. Now it's like it's easy. And then of course you can slide that on, but the middle part is easier than doing like these outside parts. But once again, it acts like it doesn't want to go in. Just give it a little pound there, and you're on a roll. Putting the wall up first, Go ahead and put this in here. Once again, this is the middles part, so it is super easy. And another right here. But yeah, this is, it goes by pretty easy once you get it, but the main thing is getting them connected. That was the difficult part there. But after that, let's put our other wall on. Make sure we put our other wall on before we put that leg on, because once again, that's the easiest way to do that. Put that wall on. All right. And then slide this down. Yeah, the main part, I probably should have put this outside, but like I said, it took me a while to actually understand and get it right. And before I decided to just put these in, it took me a while. I was like, it's not working, but I was like, you know what? Zip tie it is. But it took me a while, so I would have just been burning up outside if I did start from outside. But that's how I'm going to do this. So this is what I'm using. Once again, look at the reviews. Decide if you want to get it, if you want to challenge or not. Once again, this is what the instructions look like. I'm gonna come back to these parts, but these parts, all you're doing is putting them here. I guess just for a better, cleaner look. But yeah, you're just putting those on there. Easy peasy. It actually is easy, but I'm holding the phone. But yeah, let me put the phone down. Alright, so there those are on top, and then they also included some for the bottom there. Even with the zip ties, you're able to put those in there as well. Now these are supposed to go on before the tops go on. But let me show you the issue I'm having. So if you look at the image, it looks like these are supposed to like slide down in the little indentions, right? Makes sense. But it's like it's not fitting. Okay, obviously it's not gonna fit this way because that way is too big. That way is way too big. But it's not fitting this way. So I'm not sure what these are supposed to do. There's one on the top, one on the bottom, one on the top, one on the bottom, but I think it goes this way. It goes in here, right? Does it go in here or not? Because even then, you're going to see that they're trying to put the top piece up. There we go. They're trying to put the top piece on top of where this is at, right? It's not fitting, so I'm not sure what this is for, but it doesn't look like we're gonna be needing it because it's not fitting. Oh, I got it. Y'all, I got it on camera. All right, let's try the other part. All right, so I got this piece. I took this part, the top part off of here. I'm going to try and get this one in now. Oh, well, let me see it back up. And it's probably gonna take me forever to try and get this one too. Like I literally tried and tried to get that darn thing in there, and all I needed was a camera to call me a liar. But yeah, we're gonna try this. I am determined to get all of these in. I'm determined to get all of these in. This thing would not budge, but now I am determined to get all of these in. So it may take a while, but we'll see how far I get. But one worked. I had to struggle for this one to work. Let me see if there's an easier way to put these in. But yeah, I am now determined to get all of these in because it was not working. But of course, I'm going to take all the tops off. The tops are not hard to take off. I just take one of these and I kind of put it up in there and take the top off. But no, you ain't gonna call me a liar. I'm determined to get all of these in there now. But yeah, it may take a while. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So I got 2 on over there, but you don't need to take all the tops off. You just need to take the inside top off, because looking at the diagram on the little picture instructions, there's only 6. There's only 6 of these, and it's not on each one. It's like on the inside. If we can focus there. There we can focus. Yeah, see, it's on the inside. There's a very good picture of it. So the inside ones, you can take those tops off and try and put these in. I thought the hard part was trying to put, you know, the legs on with the wall, but this is probably going to end up being the hardest part, is putting these in here, because it's like not going, y'all. If you buy this unit, definitely refer back to this video, or you're gonna spend hours trying to figure out how to put things together as well. I'm trying to find an easier way to put this in. There's like no easier way to put this in. I mean, on this side, I put those 2 on this side. It seemed easier to just kind of position this like this and then kind of slide it in there. Oh, but it's not working on this side. This is crazy. This is crazy. It should not be this hard. It's hurting my fingertips. This is crazy. Anyway, this was the easiest way on this side. That's how I got these 2 in. I kind of positioned it like this and then slid it down in there. This hurts. All right, well, I'll keep trying to work on that. I'll move on to the next one, but that is how I was doing it. I was positioning it this way and then sliding them down. All right, so I moved this outside, and it seemed like, I don't know if it was just like this particular one, but it seems like the other ones were easier the way I just showed you. If you position that thing and then slide it down, these were easier to do than this side. So, but yeah, here it is. So anyways, these are the raised beds that I use from Amazon. I just love how they look instead of using those wood planks. If you guys don't like that look, like I don't like the look, then you can go ahead and use these types. I still have to do some weeding, so I'm not going to set this up quite yet. If you have weeds, you know you have to do step 1, then you have to wait so many weeks to do step 2, 3, and 4. Anywho, I will be doing that. Thank you guys. Don't forget to hit that like, don't forget to hit that subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss the next notification of when I post my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.